What's going on, guys? It's your boy Andy Matrix, and we're gonna be talking about Square Enix one more time, once again. And I think this is very important because I have a serious prediction. I have a serious prediction as to what's gonna happen, with Square Enix, because Square Enix, it looks like they are no longer a Japanese company, much like how Sony is no longer a Japanese company, right? They don't put Japan first anymore, and I'm gonna show you. And I'm not just going to show you with articles. This is coming directly from Square Enix, right? So, I mean, we talked about this before. Square Enix claims Japanese market no longer sufficient for profits, right? They're saying that because of their population, but Japan has a declining population, they're no longer a good market for video games. So now they're going to make, games for the global market, or what, that doesn't really make sense because you can't fucking please everybody. But guys, before we get started, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the notification bell for future notifications. I talk about anime, manga, video games, geek culture, Japanese culture. If you're into any of that stuff, make sure to subscribe. Now on with the show. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys exactly. Oh, by the way, yeah. So this news has been going around, Square Enix 2022 report shift to global focus as Japan ages. In other words, as Japan becomes, their aging population, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at the report. So I'm here using this PDF. This is actually the Japanese report of 2022. So let's go ahead and zoom in here. It says achieving major growth in Japan industry is difficult now for companies that compete primarily in the Japanese market, given its growing demographics. As such, it is critical for our business that we produce hit titles that speak to a global market, which offers greater scale in terms of both customers and sales volumes. Furthermore, game development efforts are becoming more sizable and sophisticated as the result of technological advancements in the devices on which they are played, such as consoles and smart devices. They invested. The investment requirement to develop game titles is therefore in order of magnitude greater than in the past. In other words, the Japanese market is no longer sufficient for achieving a level of earning that enables us to recoup our development investment and generate a profit, and we therefore need to approach our development efforts based on the assumption that we have to succeed in the global market. So there you have it. Now, I'm not sure if you guys know, but Square Enix has already tried competing in the global market. Okay, they actually had a lot of Western IPs. So I'm here at the Eurogamer.net. They had a lot of Western IPs. They had the Tomb Raider game franchise, Deus Ex, and a bunch of other titles. It was all under Square Enix, right? All under Square Enix. They had Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal. They had Square Enix Montreal, and they sold it, right? They sold all these Western IPs to Embracer Group for $300 million, which again I think it was cheap. That was a stupid move. It's like, why would you sell your company for such low profits? It had to be at least close to $1 billion. This was very cheap for a company to sell all these intellectual properties. But anyways, right? So they sold that. They already tried the quote unquote global market and failed, and they sold it off. So it's kind of very hypocritical for them to say, oh, we got to compete in the global market in order to succeed, but we already tried that and sold those Western IPs, right? So what exactly are they trying to do? What exactly are they trying? Because the reason why people like Square Enix is because of their Japanese style games, and those titles sell by the millions. So as Square Enix also says, specifically the president of Square Enix, Yosuke Matsuda, says that if Japanese developers imitate Western games, they will not be able to produce good ones, right? So they want to produce Japanese games for a global market. So, but they're still trying to imitate Western games. They're still trying to imitate Western games because, I mean, think about it. When was the last time that we got a turn-based RPG game from Square Enix, or especially like a Final Fantasy, something like that? a huge turn-based RPG title from Square Enix. When was the last time? It's been years. It's been, I think after like 2010, we haven't had a turn-based. Like Final Fantasy 13 really was the last turn-based game, the Final Fantasy series that we have. And then of course you have like other titles like strategy games like Triangle Strategy. Basically RPG games for the Nintendo Switch for die-hard fans. Right? And those games bring in a lot of money for Square Enix. Not that they care, but whatever. Right? So the president Yoshida said if Japanese developers imitate Western games, they will not be able to produce games. So they want to make Final Fantasy games, the next generation of Final Fantasy games, but for a global market, which means more censorship. And it means that they're gonna have to start compromising, and they're going to have to start compromising, and most likely this is gonna result into them not being so creative. It all depends, right? It all depends. But I could be wrong. And the reason is because Final Fantasy 16 is a very Game of Thrones. It's a very Game of Thrones style Final Fantasy game, because they're basically adding everything. Final Fantasy 16 is basically Game of Thrones if it were to be a Final Fantasy game. But again, this basically shows that yes, they are indeed trying to appeal to a global audience and create types of games that they think would appeal to the masses, kind of like Game of Thrones, right? And another thing that they said, where is it? But at the same time, Square Enix, they are embracing, gender politics, and things like the non-binary. Basically, all these Western ideologies. The Square Enix, they're just embracing it. I mean, I had many videos about them censoring stuff. Like recently, one of the things that happened is like one of the most popular character, Tifa Lockhart, they shrunk her tatas, right? They shrunk her boobs, because of their ethics department, of course. They have an entire dedicated ethics department to censorship, essentially. Any girls with breasts that are too big, they shrink it down because of the male gaze or whatever. We know the story. Okay? It's there. The Square Enix job listing provides details on ethics department confirmed, such as focus on discriminatory, prejudicial, and offensive content. And that offensive content basically talking about like, these crybabies on Twitter that, they don't believe that real women have double D's, D cups. They never stepped out of their house, or they're pretending like they don't watch adult videos, if you know what I mean. And finally, after all this bullcrap, after, Square Enix, saying that the Japan is a graying population, is an old population. We're not gonna make money off of our own country, so we gotta appeal to the global audience. What's gonna happen ultimately is that Square Enix, they're going to pull a Sony and move out of Japan. Okay, so this is coming from the Wall Street Journal back in 2016. Sony moves PlayStation headquarters to California. It says, move reflects growing importance of United States for video game firms. Japan's market shrinks. They're going to move out of Japan. So as a result, Square Enix is not going to be a Japanese company anymore in the future, years from now. And then it's going to be, people in the West are going to start, trying to get their hands on it. And eventually, it's just going to be like a Western company. This is how it starts, and this is how a lot of these, elites in the West are, changing these Japanese companies to their liking. That's how it is. So, yeah, in the future, Japan will not be... Square Enix will not be a Japanese company. And I'm calling it. I am putting my money on it. Sony already left Japan. And... and this is not just happening with Square Enix. There's other Japanese companies that are doing the same thing for the sake of money. and saving their businesses because the culture in Japan, people are not reproducing. And also, I believe that they should at least try to keep the same quality of their games, not buy into. If they could prevent themselves from buying into, Western ideologies, I think they will do just fine. But hey, whatever your thoughts are, make sure to comment below. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for future notifications. It's your boy Andy Matrix. Thank you for watching. Godspeed.